Hello, I'm Professor Rad, and today we're going to create a bar graph, this time using numbers that are decimals. So let's go ahead and work on this example. This example says, before the 2016 U.S. election, the Constitution Center blog listed 5 states as, quote, potential swing states for the election. These states, along with the percentage of voters in that state who ended up voting for Hillary Clinton and for Donald Trump, are given in this table. So for example, in Arizona that year, 45.4% of voters voted for Hillary Clinton, and 49.5% of voters voted for Donald Trump. In New Mexico, 48.3% voted for Hillary Clinton, and 40% for Donald Trump. So that kind of gives you a sense of what these numbers are. And what they'd like us to do is to create a bar graph for the percentage won by Donald Trump in each of these 5 states. So I'm going to take a look at the graphing space we have here and compare it to what it is we're going to be graphing. So here it says percent of votes on the side, and that makes sense because we're going to be graphing a percentage of votes. They want us to graph the votes for Donald Trump. So I'm only going to look at the Donald Trump column. Okay, so I'm not going to worry about the Hillary Clinton column. That's kind of like extra information for this problem. We're just doing this last column here. So when I look at these numbers, the smallest number that I see is 40%. That's the smallest one. And the biggest number is 51.7. Okay, so this one's almost 52. So if I look at the numbers on my vertical axis, they need to go from basically 40 to 52, which they do. It starts at 38 and it goes up to 52. So we can kind of see that range for the votes. Now, when I'm looking at this axis and I want to count the numbers in between, if I count each line like this, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, you can see I have a problem, right? This is 40, it's not 42. So maybe I'm going to count every other line as a whole number. Let's see if that works. So we have 38, 39, 40. That looks like it works. 41, 42, and so on. So I'm going to go ahead and write in those missing numbers just so I have that as reference. Again, you don't have to do this, but if you have trouble kind of placing in between numbers if they're not labeled, then this can really help you out. And then I might put like a little note to myself here that this is 38.5 because that's halfway in between my 38 and 39. So all of the unlabeled ones represent like halfway up. So I find that before I go to graph, making sure I understand how these numbers are laid out is going to help me to graph in the future because it just sort of gets my brain thinking about how to map things out. Okay, so next I'm going to be graphing for 5 states, and I kind of set up a little bit of a grid here, so maybe I could put the first bar here. So if that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, yeah, we can do that. Okay, so first I'm going to do the bar for Arizona, which is at 49.5. And this is why it's a good thing that I kind of did this check beforehand, because I know 0.5s are easy to graph, right? Because that's the halfway point. It's going to be one of the lines. So 49.5 means go up to 49 and then up to that halfway mark. So the top of the Arizona bar is going to go right there. So carefully drawing that. And Arizona. Let's see. The other one that looks like it's going to be easy to graph is New Mexico because it's 40. So I'm going to skip the space for Georgia and just go to New Mexico first, trying to get the easy ones out of the way first, right? So 40 is one of the solider lines here. More solid lines. Okay, and that was New Mexico. Okay, so now let's go back and let's graph Georgia. So that's 51.3. So that's going to be going up to 51, but not up to 51.5. So it's going to be a little bit bigger than 51. So, oh, 51 is all the way up here. Okay, so here's 51. Here's my 51.5 line. So I'm going to follow that over. And 51.3 is a little bit below that. And we'll draw that down. So remember, when you're graphing in these in-between spaces, you're just doing the best that you can, trying to get in the right box, right? Or like closer to the right line. So this is Georgia. We did New Mexico. Now let's do Oregon. So we've got 51.7. So that's going to be a little bit above the 51.5 because 0.7 is bigger. So here's our 51, 51.5. Where am I looking? Over here. Okay, so here's my 51.5. So a little bit above that is going to give us that 51.7. And then Wisconsin, oh, I should put Oregon here. Yeah. And then Wisconsin is 47.8%. So 47, here's 48. So 47.8 is going to be bigger than halfway by, right? This is 47.5. So 47.8 is going to be just underneath that 48 line. And that's Wisconsin. Okay. Now, I don't know about you, but for me, these red lines are a little bit hard for me to see. So I am going to shade in the bars. Shading in is not a requirement, but it can help you see your work, or can help your teacher see your work a little bit better. If you wanted to dig out a box of crayons or colored pencils, if you need a little, art therapy during your math, feel free to take the opportunity to use it. There you go. And then because I was approximating the heights of almost all these bars, I am going to put data labels on. That's the other optional feature. So above each bar, I'm going to put the percentage. So 49.5, 51.3, 40, 51.7, and 47.8. All right, cool. So the shading and the numbers are optional. There are two required things that my graph is missing. So I need to give it a title and I need to put the right label here. So they called the left-hand side percent of votes because that's what these columns were headed. I'm going to call this one state underneath here because that's what the categories are. So we'll call these state. And then for my title, I know it's probably going to involve Donald Trump. And it says, these are potential swing states, meaning the votes would be really close, which we can see they're all really close to 50%, right? So these are 2016 swing states. Votes for Donald Trump. 2016 votes for Donald Trump in swing states. I think that's going to be the best we can get here. So 2016 votes for Trump in swing states. All right, there we go. So the problem for you to try is to basically redo this problem, but do it for the votes for Hillary Clinton instead of for Donald Trump. So you're going to make your Now You Try bar graph using the percentage of votes for Hillary Clinton. So this is a video for making bar graphs using decimal numbers. In the next video, we're going to wrap up this chapter by looking at bar graphs for integers, including negative numbers. So I'm looking forward to seeing you then. In the meantime, have a wonderful day.